Welcome back to Crowd Control, the show where we talk about all the crowdfunding things. You might notice a little bit of a difference if you've been paying attention for the last 20 episodes. Yeah, David's not here. I've got Nelson with me. David is in Bangkok at the CMON Expo. But you know what? Crowdfunding doesn't stop just because David left.
Well, which is surprising, honestly.
Yeah, and we debated. We were like, are we going to still do this? But there's so many awesome games coming out over the next weeks that we kind of have to. I can't not talk about them.
Yeah, we got some real treats today.
Do you back Kickstarters? You know what Kickstarter is? If you game found,
I've done it before.
Okay, good.
Yeah, once or twice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure as the stack of undelivered pledges just start stacking up.
Yeah, boxes just keep arriving, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did back that.
Right, crowdfunding. So if you don't know Nelson, he's been doing a lot of stuff around here with us at MVM. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
And you had the first one today that we wanted to talk about.
We're going to talk about Undergrove. So this is by Elizabeth Hargrave and Mark Wooten. Elizabeth Hargrave, well-known designer from Wingspan.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
A couple of games, really pretty games. So I assume that this is going to be kind of in that same realm. This one, you are a tree, and you're going to be interfacing with different mushrooms.
I think you should. You are a tree. That's an interesting place to start.
That's fair. That's fair. We should talk about that. You are a tree. You are a tree, and you have roots and developments, and you're creating partnerships with different mushrooms and different fungi in the world that you can trade and develop into. It seems like a game that I'm just gonna love the theme.
Well, it's an interesting theme. And I was reading the page. They say that they started with the actual ecology, where there's a name for it. I don't know it. I'll put it down below.
Yeah.
But they kind of started from there. And if you've played Wingspan, you know Elizabeth kind of brought in a lot of facts. She really built those birds to do things that they were supposed to do. And apparently this whole system is kind of like that competition for like getting your seeds out and like using mushrooms. I don't know how any of it works, but what an interesting premise.
Yeah, there's not a ton out about it yet. There's a little bit of mechanics, but I am definitely going to be watching this one really closely. Yeah. One, because the designers are fantastic. I really like and enjoy what they put out.
And AEG is great.
AEG is great, and so it's going to be really interesting to see a little bit more. But I want to talk a little bit about the teaser and the mechanics that they put in there. This is going to be using cube conversion, tile placement, area control, and a tiny bit of engine building to claim the most advantageous.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of mechanics in a game.
Yeah, it really is.
So we'll see.
But if anybody can balance it, it's them. So
absolutely.
I'm definitely excited about that one. I'm probably even more excited about mine.
I think you are more excited about yours.
I'm very excited about this. They are bringing back the TMNT, that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, role-playing game from Palladium. Now, maybe that means nothing to you, but this game was part of my childhood. It released like in 1985, so it's like about as old as I am. And this was an old role-playing game system where you could play as the turtles, and it's still being kind of hailed as like one of the greats. People still dust off their old versions of this game and play it, and like we're seeing a huge resurgence of TMNT fans. We've got the new movie, which was fantastic. The Last Ronin graphic novel series was fantastic. They're making a video game based on that graphic novel, which is fantastic. I'm a big fan, if you couldn't tell. So the fact that they're bringing this back is huge for me. And it's not just that they're like bringing it back. They're not just reprinting it. They're actually approaching this as like a new collector's edition because they know that fans of that game now are old. We're older. We don't have time to play games anymore. We just have time to look at them and flip through the pages.
Yeah, look at the pretty pictures.
So Eastman and Laird, the creators of TMNT, are on board with this. They're going to feature some new artwork, some revamped rules. They're saying they are really going to approach this as like a redo, not just like a straight reprint, like I said. There's going to be deluxe versions. You're going to be able to get collector's versions. You're going to be able to get some variant special covers if you back on the Kickstarter.
How much money are you about to spend?
Let's not talk about that.
Okay, let's not put that on the record.
Because I do want one of those variant, those covers. I mean, it's a fun system. It's a fun game. And just as a piece of, like, TMNT history, this is very much approaching this from, like, the sense of, like, a collectible item.
That's really cool, yeah. Did you play the role-playing game growing up?
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, man. I loved that game. That game, the Star Wars role-playing game, I didn't even, like, play D&D growing up, honestly, like a lot of kids did. I played TMNT, I played Star Wars, and I played Men in Black.
There you go.
The role-playing game, which maybe this is your first
That's my first time hearing of
that.
that.
That game existed, but it did. So, big, huge fan of TMNT. And if you're a fan too, if you like the movie, or if you have kids that are growing up, like my kid loved the movie. We've seen that movie so many times. I can't wait for him to get a little bit older so I can play this with him. So that's TMNT. We do have a couple more. Of course, we do like to bring in a special guest every week. Today we're doing something really special. I don't want to mess this up, so I wrote it down. Because this is Mark Wilson. He's a game designer, and he wanted to come on and talk about his game. It's Mires. A really cool deck building game that I saw, and I was like, I really wanted to get him on so we could talk a little bit more about it. So without further ado, let's get to Mark.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Wilson. I'm the designer of City of Mires, a city traversal deck building game where players are going to be moving around a city to recruit allies from 5 different districts, attack the monster to gain prestige, or help each other out or disrupt each other, depends on what playstyle you like. I think what players will really enjoy is that this game has a lot of replayability. Within the city, there are 5 different decks, 1 for each district, 1 for each playstyle. In those decks is 16 cards, and every single card in that deck is unique. There's no duplicates. And in each district, there are different playstyles, depending on what the player wants to explore. If you want to generate a ton of money and buying cards and give you bonuses for buying cards, that's Merchant's Row. If you want to generate a ton of power and be able to attack the monster no matter what, that's Wilds. If you want a little bit of both, but also protect yourself from disruption and pass out taxes, that's Royal Courts. If you just want to draw your deck like crazy and just get the good cards out of your deck consistently, and also playing cards with multiple options, that's Industrial Grounds. And if you want to be able to move around the board as fast as possible, steal some points, steal some cards, that's Undercity. And you can mix and match these different archetypes to have different compositions of decks. Maybe you have a Wilds Industrial deck, or maybe you have a Merchant's Row and Royal Courts deck, or maybe you've mixed everyone together. That's what I like to sell to players, is that this game offers a unique deck building experience like no other. We're on Kickstarter from October 24th to November 24th, and I really hope you get a chance to take a look.
All right, welcome back. Thanks, Mark. We want to talk about a couple more. These are pretty big ones that are launching next week. I'm backing both of these, I'm not going to lie. The first one is from MTE Games, and this is a game called Train Rush.
Ooh.
That literally looks like they designed it for me.
Oh, okay, good.
I love train games. I've been getting way into them. Like everything from like Age of Steam into the 18xx's. If it's got a train now, I have a whole gaming group that just meets and just really plays train games.
Yeah.
But this one is super slick looking.
Okay.
This does not look like those dry Euro-y train games.
Yeah.
This is like post-apocalypse, like Mad Max level with like a steampunk coat.
Nice.
You're like driving these trains as fast as you can through like these desolate graveyards. It looks phenomenal. I mean, it is still a train game. It is still like that multi-hour.
You're laying track.
You're
my goodness.
building
Okay,
routes.
yeah.
You're delivering goods. You're trying to do all the stuff that you would do in a train game, but you have this unique faction on top of it. It's very like
nice
sci-fi, or I guess I should say steampunk fantasy kind of inspired. But it is still like for somebody like that likes the meat of a train game, especially one like this. I was saying like an hour per player. So like it is still that level. I don't know if you've played one of those.
I've played some 18xx, and they push 4 hours. That's a meaty game. That's a meaty.
But I as much as I do like those games, I don't love the way they look.
That's fair.
So having something like this with such a great table presence, that also has such a great theme, that also has those train mechanics, like this is definitely something that they a labor of love here. And it's very niche, but I think that people that like that style of game are going to back this instantly. Like if and whatever. I'm not going to bring this up. There are some people that like their games to look dry and boring.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
Because it looks epic.
It looks epic. Like you see this on the table and you're like, oh, what is that? And then they go, what's a 4-hour train game? And you go, oh, maybe not. But me, I'm like, I'm all in on that. So,
give me that.
Yeah, so that is Train Rush. That one's coming next week. I think that one's on GameFound.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah. So my game that I'm going to be talking about was actually my top game from Origins this year.
Uh-oh.
This is Perseverance, Castaway Chronicles 3 and 4.
Yeah.
This is continuing the story that Perseverance 1 and 2 brought to us. And just, if you have not heard of these, this is a standalone game. You do not have to have played the first or the second to play 3 or 4. the way that this is, it's kind of telling an overarching narrative about a shipwreck onto an island that's inhabited by dinosaurs, which is super freaking cool. Yeah, don't hide that part. Where each game kind of plays future generations or more years into the future. And so, the first game you're shipwrecked, whereas in this game, you're kind of starting to explore the island. You've established colonies. Those are your dice placement spots. And you're going to start pushing into the wilderness, interacting and taming the dinosaurs. Now you're not just fighting them, you get to ride the dinosaurs, which is freaking sweet.
That is. You walk by that table, I saw it at Origins too, and you walk by and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's a big game. We're talking about big games.
Too,
I mean, you're talking big box, big table presence, everything. And 3 and 4 are 2 separate games that share mechanics, but they also share components, which is why they come in the same box. So that's kind of how Mindclash has talked about putting the 2 games into one box. So you are buying 2 games that share components here, and they're going to tell the story. Now, I've only played 3, and I'm super intrigued about 4.
Yeah, 4 seems awesome.
4 seems awesome. Do you know much about 4?
No, other than that it's like taking place way in the future from 3.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I've played 1 and 2, and I saw the demo of 3.
Yeah.
But they didn't show 4 out there. So all I know is what I've heard.
Yeah.
3 is the one they really showed.
Yeah.
So when the campaign launches, I'm like dying to see what that looks like, how far ahead into the future it is. Because we have had a significant time jump from like Nelson said, the first game, literally you're just off that crashed ship, just trying to survive on this island. Whereas the second one is more about like, let's build a settlement and protect that settlement.
Yep.
And a little bit of exploration. But now it's like, okay, our settlement's good. Now let's like go spread and push out and claim that land. Oof, man, it's awesome.
You get to ride dinosaurs. I don't know. I'm all in.
That's it. Nelson, that's all Nelson needs for a sales pitch.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? You get to ride dinosaurs. But what's cool, and I don't want to leave this out too. Like, it's not just necessarily. Well, it is a shared narrative that goes across the games. There's also a campaign mode that rewards you for playing through 1, 2, 3, and 4 in a row, and you can start to like earn achievements and stuff in the early games that you'll carry with you through that whole epic 4-game series.
Sounds like a crazy weekend.
If you do all 4 games in one weekend, props to you. That's like all day Saturday for 1 and 2, all day Sunday for 3 and 4.
I'm sure there are people out there that will do it.
I'm sure there will. This is going to be a huge one. I think that this is going to be even bigger than Castlevania or Perseverance 1 and 2 was, just because word has grown now. People are very excited about that.
Yeah. It's a meaty, exciting game.
Yeah, and you can ride dinosaurs in it.
Yeah. What more do you need?
So thank you guys so much for watching today as we break down the crowdfunding projects we're so excited about. Thank you, Nelson, for
having me on.
I'm sure maybe we'll see him again sometime in the future. But until we see you again, make sure everyone has fun at the table and keep crowdfunding. Bye.